Hi and welcome to Master the Piano. My name is Isabel Tay and today I thought I'd share with you 7 of the most common mistakes I see when people play the piano. I've been teaching for about 10 years now and it seems to be the same 7 things that stop people from really enjoying music and from fulfilling what they really want to do. So I thought I'd start off with number 7 and work my way to the top. So the 7th most common mistake I see is that people don't really expose themselves to different kinds of music. If you want to be a good pianist or a good musician in general, you have to be able to listen to different kinds of music, or at least listen to your piece being played by other people so you get a better idea of how they approach the piece. With things like YouTube so easily available now because of the internet, you can really get in tune with how other people approach music, and that will help you become a better musician and a better pianist. So that's my number 7 tip. Be exposed to more music. So watch it, listen to it, go to shows and concerts, and I hope you have a good time there. The number 6 most common mistake that I see is a lack of coordination. Now that's completely natural. That's normal. Most of us are dominant in the one hand, so I'm right hand dominant, and that means a lot of the time when I play the piano, my right hand will come across as slightly stronger. Now this is fine because a lot of the time the melody is in the right hand, but sometimes it isn't, and we also need our left hand to be able to keep up. So coordination between the hands is incredibly important. You can work on that by practicing scales, arpeggios, broken chords, or even working on left hand or whatever your weaker hand is by just playing songs with your left hand first or your weaker hand first. So you give that less dominant hand more of a chance to practice and to become stronger. Okay, so that's number 6. Number 5 would have to be aural skills. So that's going to come across in listening to music, but also thinking about how it sounds. Now the way I work on this with my students is to get them to practice singing scales or practice hearing intervals. So we have to be able to look at a piece of music and imagine what that music would sound like. That's incredibly important because when we're given a piece of music, we have to be able to jump into it straight away. So looking at a piece of music and being able to hear and imagine what we need to do to play it is a huge important factor for pianists, especially because we have 2 hands and 10 fingers. We have a lot more to do than just, say, a violinist. Not that violinists don't do a lot of work, they do, but they don't have all 10 fingers going sometimes at the one time. So aural work is important. It helps you to listen to the music carefully and helps you prepare yourself well. Okay, the next thing is probably technique, and I know I'm on my students about this all the time. You cannot focus enough on technique, and that's not just scales and finger work, but also how you sit at the piano, your postures. So when you sit at the piano, you should always be comfortable. You should be well balanced. Your back should be straight. Your arms should be well supported. Your fingers should be balanced on the tips. It's incredibly important because if you are practicing for long periods of time, you're going to get muscle fatigue and strain and you're going to hurt yourself. Nobody should hurt themselves playing the piano. It's not meant to be a dangerous occupation. So watch your technique. Practice fingering skills as well. So that means turning your thumb underneath as you go up and down your scales. The last thing an audience wants to hear is a beautiful piece of music that stops halfway through because the pianist isn't well aware of their fingering, and so that stops the flow of the music. You want to be able to hear the music and not the technique, not the work behind it. So work on your technique as the base of your pyramid. It is the most important thing you can do in terms of piano preparation. The next thing is almost contradictory to that, and that's over-practicing. I see this a lot in my students who are preparing for exams. The number 3 worst mistake you can ever make is over-practicing, and that's where you just sit down at the piano and you practice and you practice and you practice by rote. You're not going to learn anything. You're not going to achieve anything. You have to take a step back, know when enough is enough. If you're not getting anywhere with a piece of music, stop. Take a break. Go to something easier. Go to something more fun. Go to something you've learnt before. And then try again the next day. So be careful with over-practicing. Number 2, the number 2 most common mistake I see a lot in my students is not being able to listen to themselves. So it's one thing to listen to other people and to be able to critically evaluate what you hear, but you then have to apply that same skill to yourself. And that's hard to do when you're reading music, you've got two hands going, sometimes a foot, you're concentrating on dynamics and tempo and the rest of it, but you have to listen really carefully to the sound that you're making. Listen to how the music is coming out, how is it being shaped, what are your focus points, where is it the climax in the music. That's important too, being able to critically evaluate what you play. So it's almost like you have to be two people in one for that. And the number one thing, the number one mistake I always see with people is lack of time management. And this is not just for pianists, I'm sure this applies to everybody. But if you want to be a good pianist, you have to commit to a schedule. When a student will first come to me, I will always tell them, you have to practice 20 minutes every day, 5 days a week. I don't care what else is going on. Even if you hurt your hand, you can always do something else. You can work on aural skills, you can work with your other hand. But you have to commit 20 minutes every day to practicing the piano. If you don't practice that 20 minutes every day, it becomes very easy to fall back and to slip into bad habits and to lose your momentum and to lose that drive for music. So time management is absolutely crucial. You can't over-practice, but then you can't under-practice either. So you've got to set yourself a regular schedule. So those are my 7 tips, or my 7 most common mistakes that I see in my students. I hope you can learn something from that and try and avoid these mistakes, and hopefully you'll enjoy music so much more. Thank you, and I'll see you soon. Bye!